FrankTalks.com.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Taking a relationship to the next level. This is Passion with Dr. Laurie.
Welcome to Passion, a show all about love, sex, and relationships. Tonight on the program, our monthly feature, Dating Dilemmas, where we focus on dating issues, and we would love to hear from you. And joining us is our usual suspects. We have Frank Kermit, who is a dating coach and the author of many books and audio lectures on dating. We also have from EliteSpeedDating.com, Fritz-Gerald Morisot, who joins us on the line this time. You're away, Fritz.
Hi, how are you, Dr. Laurie?
I'm
How are
good.
you, Frank?
I'm
calling
doing well.
you from Toronto, beautiful city.
Well, why didn't you just go to our Toronto studios at that point? Really now. Well, we're happy to have you on. We thought we would talk about breaking up and starting over only because December, January, February are the biggest months for breakups. You know, a lot of people break up right before Valentine's Day because they don't want to have to deal with Valentine's Day. And then you have people who evaluate their relationship around Valentine's Day who might have been very disappointed and who break up after that. And then, of course, breaking up is daunting. Starting over, probably even more daunting. So we'd like to open the phone lines for our listeners. 514-800 is the text line, or 71010 from Toronto. 1-800-491-2523. Any challenges that you have faced? Did you break up on or around Valentine's Day and now, you know, wondering how to start over? When is it too soon? When should we do this? When do you start dating someone new? How do you get past this? So there's lots to cover here.
Well, there's definitely a lot to cover. This also includes what happens when your ex starts to date someone new before you do.
Well, we did get a question about that I want to share with our listeners, so maybe you can answer that. My ex-girlfriend and I broke up about 3 months ago. I was okay with everything and thought I was moving on. This week, she told me that she started to see someone new and it is already getting serious. It really bothers me that she got over me so quickly and is already with someone new. It also bothers me because she moved on and I haven't met anyone new yet. How do I deal with this?
Okay, first of all, just because a person starts to see someone new is not necessarily an indication that they're over anything.
Okay.
Okay, there's this idea that, well, you should wait until you're completely over someone before moving on. Great intellectual...
What does that even mean, though? You know, what does it mean to completely be over someone? That's the other thing. It could mean different things for different people, no?
Right, it can, but most people say, I don't want to be feeling something for someone else. I don't want to be thinking about them all the time. And what most people don't understand is that that's an intellectual construct. You're not going to forget somebody by not moving forward with your life. You're going to move forward with your life by taking action. So if you do have someone that you want to date, or someone wants to date you, you give them a chance. This idea that, well, I need to take time and to forget the other person. Okay, you want to take a couple of days where you want to get the mourning process out.
A couple of days. It could take a lot longer than that to mourn the loss of a relationship, depending on how long you've been dating.
I would also say that we're using the word mourn, but I think we should also say that they're not mourning. They're also learning from the past relationship that is going on.
That's true.
So take that time, really assess, and then you can really move forward from there.
So it's not just being sad, but also, I mean, once you go through the sadness part of it, because it is a loss, so you do have to mourn. There is that. But I think the important thing is that from that point on, you do learn. And if you can learn something, I think it helps us start over, or it helps us move on.
I would agree with that. And it's important to learn where you went wrong. Because obviously you either made a bad choice in who you were trying to date, or maybe you did something that pushed the other person away. Mm-hmm. Maybe there were signs that the person was already feeling detached from you and you didn't see them.
Right.
And that might be something that you have to start to reconsider and say, did I do something to push the person away? Is there something I need to learn here so I don't repeat this pattern in my next relationship when I'm dating someone? So yes, learning something is very important.
No, I agree with you, Frank. Learning and trying not to repeat the same mistakes that you've had in your past relationships. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah. But even for this person who, thought he was moving on and his ex-girlfriend is now in another serious relationship, well,
Okay, let's
somewhere you got to let it go.
Okay, but I think this is also dealing with ego. Mm-hmm. She's moved on or he's moved on and I haven't yet. Don't let your ego get in your own way. This isn't a competition. When you're ready to move on, you move on. But if you are ready to meet somebody new, you got to be active and go out there. You can't wait for somebody to come up to you.
But it's also normal that it might sting a bit. When you see that your partner is dating again or that they seem to have moved on faster than you, or the interpretation is, gee, look, it took you no time to start dating again. Boy, you must have really cared about me. Like, there's a misinterpretation. That doesn't mean that that's what's happening.
Exactly. Maybe that person is maybe that's just their way of coping with their loss.
Right.
Of not being in a relationship. So they try to find or seek comfort in someone else. That doesn't mean that that's right. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, but it shouldn't affect you.
Right. I got a very good text here from 71010. Really needed to listen to this, so thank you. Long-term boyfriend left me in November, and I haven't figured out how to move on, even though he has. Can't believe he could move on so quickly. Felt like everything we had was a lie. His new girlfriend, however, has the same name as me, which I find humorous. I've tried to see other people, but it's hard to let go.
Okay, for this lady who just wrote in, I want you to listen to me very carefully on this, okay? Do not internalize your self-identity with the actions of an ex. Just because he's moved on is not any indication to what your identity is. You must define your identity. Do not define your identity by whether or not an ex is dating someone else or not. That can be very damaging. Mm-hmm. And that's how people end up hurting themselves. Well, if so-and-so did this, it must mean, and they insert some sort of meaning which is negative on them.
Right.
Okay, and what someone else does has no bearing on your self-identity. Don't internalize it.
Or even how the person might have felt about you. Like Fritz was saying, sometimes people need to start dating right away. For them, that's how they heal, or how they cope, and how they get distracted from the feelings. It may not be completely fair to the person they're dating, mind you, but it might be something that works for them. Everybody copes with loss in different ways. There's no one formula for it.
I think that's a very powerful point.
Yes, I agree completely.
So we are dating dilemmas tonight. If you have any thoughts on breakups, your ex dating somebody new, how you started over, how you felt about it, would love to hear from you. 1-800-491-2523 if you'd like to call in, or you can text in at 514-800 or 71010. Starting over, of course, it also depends on, we get a lot of starting over questions, people starting over after a divorce, depending on the stage of life they're at, starting over when you have kids, starting over when you're when you have limited time because you have the kids most of the time and you don't, let's say you share custody or what have you, and you only have one weekend out of 2 where you can potentially meet someone. So there's a lot of factors that go into how smoothly starting over will happen. Plus, not to mention, those are logistical things, but there's all the whole emotional side to it. And we'd love to hear your stories tonight on Passion. It is Dating Dilemmas. Frank Kermit and Fritz-Gerald of Elite Speed Dating is here. If you have any questions about speed dating, this is something I recommend to a lot of people, is go speed date. It's easy, it's fun, and it's not so threatening as it sounds. And if you have questions about that, Fritz will certainly answer them for you as well. So he's got in Montreal and in Toronto events happening that you can find out about at elitespeeddating.com. You're listening to Dating Dilemmas here on Passion.
She can help improve your love life in a few different ways. Passion with Dr. Laurie.
Tonight on the program, Dating Dilemmas with my usual panel, Frank Kermit of FrankTalks.com and Fritz-Gerald Morisseau of EliteSpeedDating.com. are here, and we're talking about getting over a breakup or starting over and breaking up. And I mean, 'tis the season for breakups. Unfortunately, this is the time of year when a lot of breakups are happening. And I don't know what's in the air, but something. I don't know. Do you know why people break up a lot around this time?
It's the last of the collective holidays. The number of breakups that happen the most is in March for around spring break.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Second is December, going into the holiday season. And this period right now, or in and around
Post-Valentine's Day.
is about second highest.
Yeah. But I also feel the same way that it's breakup. It's also makeup time. Just like you mentioned, it was Valentine's Day, and events, people were finding love. So we had a great event last week. A lot of people matched. And throughout the city, people, it's on their minds, definitely, that they want to meet someone sooner rather than later.
So this is your, as a speed dater organizer, this is your biggest, also your most busy season then?
Yes, it is.
Interesting.
I hear from everyone, and they are looking, and this is what I love about the most about Valentine's Day, is that now people tend to actually forget about all their list of criterias, and they're in it to meet people. Mm-hmm. Let's give it a shot. You never know. Cupid might be smiling down on me today or in this period, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to put myself out there. And I love it about it. I love everything about it.
Do you think people are more ready to put themselves out there after a breakup or like way after a breakup?
I think they're more ready to put themselves, well, first of all, it depends on what type of relationship they had, but in tendencies, they'll wait at least a little bit of a period before they put themselves out there.
Right.
So it's not they've just broken up that they're going to put themselves out there the next week. They'll probably wait a bit, but they're definitely, within this time frame, they're more open to it, or at least they're more open to, even with a breakup, to go with a friend to an event or a speed dating event.
Right.
You never know.
Right. 514-800 or 71010. What do you think are the best ways to get over a breakup? Are there any really good ways that you have thought of getting over a breakup? We have Dee Dee online from Nova Scotia. Hi, Dee Dee.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm new to Nova Scotia. I moved from Montreal to Nova Scotia.
Okay. And you keep listening to us. I love it.
6 months ago.
Okay.
Yes, but of course I'm still listening to CJAD, and I had to call in.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry I don't call in more often. I just go to bed a lot earlier than I
No
used
worries.
to.
No worries, honey. What's up? Tell us your thoughts.
Well, this topic really hit home to me. Because I remember, especially when you're younger, I was suffering just a terrible heartache. And I'd moved back home. I was going through a divorce. And I thought I'd never recover from this one. And my mother, who'd been, who was married to my father for 50 years. Wow. Never divorced, etc. One day looked at me and she said, "Look, darling, the best cure for a broken heart is another man." And I remember I looked at her and I was wailing and saying, "Oh, what are you talking about," etc. But it hit home.
Right.
And within a very short period of time, I went out and I met another man.
And?
I didn't end up with him.
Okay.
But, oh, my God, did he cure my broken heart. So all I wanted
and I'm sure
to
other
pass
things.
On,
yeah.
It never left me. It was one of those life lessons that was just wonderful.
Uh-huh.
And I never suffered the same way again.
Okay. Well, sometimes feeling wanted and desired by someone else can be very helpful and healing, right?
Magnificent.
Yeah. Thanks.
And it worked in a flash.
All right. Wonderful.
All right.
Thank
care.
you,
Love
Dee Dee.
listening
All
to
right.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I love that story. Dee Dee, if you're still listening, you have a very wise mother. I like your mother.
So does Fritz, I think. I have some texts here, 514-800 or 71010 if you'd like to text in your thoughts about healing from a breakup. This texter writes, if people are so hurt as to how others can move on so quickly, it's because the dumper has somebody already lined up. I disagree with that. I think in some cases maybe, but I don't think that that's the usual case.
Sometimes the dumper usually will have someone else because it makes it easier, meaning they've been unhappy for a while, but they don't want to break up and end up single. So they have someone in mind sometimes.
Right.
However, even if you're the dumpee, you don't choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you're going to react to it.
Right.
And if you're the type of person to simply mourn and feel sorry for yourself, your time alone and your time in mourning is going to be a lot longer. But if you're the type of person to say, fine, I'm not happy about what happened, but I'm going to take control and I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to find someone who will appreciate me.
That's good. That's a good attitude.
That's a better attitude.
If I could say, like the dumper, the dumpee, people break up for different reasons and different things. So I don't know if necessarily they had someone lined up. They just didn't feel okay or correct in the situation that they were in. And they've chosen, at least if I think, let's say the dumper doesn't have someone else, they've chosen to take the right course and say, I'm not going to string this other person along if I don't feel fine in this relationship.
Right.
And therefore, it's better for both of us if we just call it a day right now. And it actually gives us time to more and find that right person for you quicker, in a sense.
And sometimes it's true that the person who leaves the relationship or makes the decision has been thinking about it a long time. So for them, it may look like they got over it quickly, but in fact there was a process that they were going through in terms of getting to that conclusion.
I would certainly agree with that. And this is something I always advocate. I think it's unethical to stay in a relationship when you know that it's on its last legs for you because you're leading on another person.
Yeah.
And there are people who stay in the same relationship for months, if not years, because it's easier to just deal with what you know than to actually be proactive, end it, and put yourself out there again.
Because they fear, sometimes it's the fear of being alone.
Yeah.
This question's for you, Fritz. I am a male recently separated from my ex of 5 years. We have a son and we share custody. I decided to try speed dating. I'm going to my first event this Saturday. Do you have any tips on how to be successful in speed dating and get more matches? I'm pretty good looking, tall and fit. Thank you for your help.
Well, the first thing that I would say is good for you for going out.
Yep.
And good luck on the speed dating. Now, the most important tip that I can give you is to be comfortable. Be in the mood. You're going to have a good time, and you're going to meet different people. So that it's all about opportunities, and it's not about what you can and cannot do. It's all about opportunities and meeting people. So if you feel good, it will transpire in your way you walk, in your confidence, and the way you speak. Second of all, this is not an interview, okay? You will have time to get to know what they want to do, or what they do in life or whatnot. You're trying to create a spark. So be genuine, be sincere in every comment that you have, and then go at it with an open mind. Try to give people as many opportunities to match or date you as possible. So don't have your list of criterias. Be open-minded and see what's new out there. You never know what the possibilities. Genuinely, the people that tend to do great or very well at speed dating events, you see it from the moment that they walk in. The confidence, the suave, they're relaxed. So be easy. Feel fine. You're going to be okay.
Fritz, what about the expectations? You think people should leave their expectations at the door and just go in expecting just to meet new people rather than, oh my God, I might meet the Mrs. Right or Mr. Right here?
Yes, I do think that they should leave their expectations at the door because that'll just might give you more anxiety that is needed for the event. Just be open. If you do get a match or if you do find the person of your life, that's a bonus. That's great. But the more you have fun at the event, the more chances you have to be attractive and attract the right person for you.
Right. I just think a lot of this is anxiety provoking to begin with for a lot of people, where they go in, I guess, with a lot of expectations, and it's nerve wracking and they don't know what to expect. And do you find it's easier once somebody goes to one speed dating event that they will go to more because it becomes like once they kind of know what to expect?
Yes, I do think so. Once people, when they come, at least with us, once they've tried the event, they realize how fun it is, how people are actually here to meet and talk, how genuine people are in their search, or just either to look for someone more serious or just to meet people. Right. And from that point, they realize this is not as bad as I thought. I'm actually having a great time. You know what, Fritz? I'm going to come back again next time.
Right. That's the voice of Fritz-Gerald of EliteSpeedDating.com. They have events in Montreal and in Toronto. You just have to sign up online, and or he's here to answer any of your questions.
I also want to remind everybody that Fritz has some articles of advice on his website about how to make the most of your speed dating event.
Good. Right.
Yes.
Thank you, Frank, for a reminder. Fritz, he does your work for you. What's going on?
Thank you, Frank. And actually, Frank and I, Frank is very helpful in helping me collaborate and stuff on and give me topics of conversation that everybody might think or want to know. One about speed dating, but dating itself, because Frank is good at what he does.
Well, actually, Frank, if I could just say, Frank wrote a book on 101 conversation topics. So if you ever, because people worry about that. And that's the thing about speed dating. You're actually helping them because you help them with the conversation topics. But when you go out on a date, it's like, what do we talk about? Like I hear that anxiety from a lot of people. What do we talk about? I don't know what to bring up. And so it's a good way to start conversations. 514-800 or 71010. Your thoughts, how to get over a breakup. What's the best way you have found? Starting over, has that been difficult? And if you want to give advice to our listeners who are listening and who may have gone through a breakup, and there's lots of people who have broken up in the last couple of months, then share with us. 1-800-491-2523 if you'd like to call in, or text us at 514-800 or 71010. This is our special feature, Dating Dilemmas, right here on Passion.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Taking a relationship to the next level. This is Passion with Dr. Laurie.
Tonight, Dating Dilemmas, the night we focus on, dating issues, of course. And my panelists are Fritz-Gerald of EliteSpeedDating.com, as well as Frank Kermit, dating coach of FrankTalks.com. If you have anything to share with us, please do that. 514-800 or 71010. You can call in at 1-800-491-2523. Interestingly, I was just reading an article in the last couple of days that said that most of us will, on average, have our hearts broken about 3 times in our lifetime. 3 times. So the first one, and this person wrote in, the first cut was the deepest. The others were just scratches. Wow. Unfortunately, they're deep cuts too. The first time you get your heart broken is the hardest. But I don't think the rest are scratches. I think that you can be equally hurt and devastated by a second breakup and a third breakup.
I agree with you, Dr. Lee. I think it's the time that you've invested in. If you're the type of person who believes in putting everything all into the relationship, to actually give it a chance. So because you get yourself more vulnerable and more exposed, there is a chance that it might hurt more if it doesn't
Absolutely.
work out.
And actually, that was my thought when I saw that the others were just scratches. That tells me that the person was so hurt that he or she never invested as deeply in any other relationships because of that fear of being hurt so badly again.
I would also like to say that, number one, it all depends on the meaning that you attach to a relationship. If you evoke a lot of meaning from a relationship, it's going to hurt more when that relationship ends. Number two, sometimes I'll coach somebody who's nursing a broken heart about someone they've never actually dated.
What do you mean?
Meaning they've pined for the person, they've been in love with that person from afar, but they've never actually gone out with that person.
Unrequited love.
Unrequited love. And then that person that they're, pining for either has already started to date someone else, has announced they're getting married, or they finally summed up the courage and went up and said, I really like you. How about we go out to dinner sometime? And the person says, I like you, but let's just be friends.
Right.
And the heartbreak is immense. Even if they've dated other people, even if they're not completely inexperienced, it depends on the meaning you attach to the person you were dating.
If that person in your life, if you say they are the person you live for, which is not a healthy thing, by the way,
No.
Then of course that's a meaning that you attach to that person. That person becomes your life, which is not healthy, and then the devastation is a whole lot worse.
It can be, yes.
Yeah. A couple of questions here. Every woman I ever dated, I met them doing something I enjoyed. Thank you for that. I think that's people often ask us, where do we meet people? And meeting a like-minded person is exactly by doing activities that you do enjoy. If you like bowling, join a bowling league. If you enjoy ballroom dancing, there are clubs for that, social clubs that do these things.
And if you can't find a social club that caters to your interests, you start one.
Yeah, create one. Yeah.
Yes.
And in fact, you can do that now online. It's so easy. The meetup groups, there's meetup groups for all kinds of like-minded people. If you like something, start a meetup group, and then people will join in, and then you actually organize meetings or meetups where you meet up in real life.
Facebook groups as well. All social media offers some way to connect with like-minded people, but you have to take initiative. If you can't find a group that caters to your interests, start one.
Yep. Here's another one for you, Fritz. In speed dating, is there any categories? Like, what if I would like to meet a person of color like myself? How does that work? Could you try to explain? So how do you organize the events?
Well, we organize the events in different ways. Some people might choose also to do like difference of color, but I would like to say that I like to promote all types of relationships and everything. So
yeah, but that's you. But a lot of people are looking for. They want to date within their religion. They want to date within their race. They want or culture. So It doesn't matter what you think. It's what everybody wants.
You know what? You are absolutely right. And in retrospect to that, I have done events for the Jewish community, for the Haitian community, for the Italian community.
Okay, right.
Also for professionals. So you can definitely cater to different segments and different groups that you would want to increase their matches. I can also say that when we did do those events, that's where there was the highest rate of matches. Because people were really into finding, because they knew they had that extra thing, more than just the age group, they had that extra, they were more willing to date the other person or at least see what's out there.
Well, those similarities, Fritz, that makes a difference. The more similar we are, it's easier. There's an automatic connection at some level when you share things in common. So, and especially when it comes to cultural background or religious background, there's a lot of things that you kind of don't have to say because, oh yeah, I have a mother like that, or oh yeah, that's you grew up the way I grew up, or whatever it is. There's kind of this understood, similarity, which is also nice. Which is probably what leads to more matches.
Yes, it is. The most interesting group was when we did speed dating for single parents. And they really connected because they not only did they have similarities, but they all had children, so they all knew what it was to deal with 1 week with the children, or splitting the children from one place to another, finding how to date with those responsibilities. And interesting enough, that wasn't the topic of conversation. They actually spoke about other things because they understood that realm.
Right. They already all knew that they were all in it in the same way. Yeah. We got some text here. This one from 71010. So I got dumped 2 years ago, and I've been second guessing myself ever since. My question is, why walk this path again if it will likely just end in another disaster? Where my heart used to be, there is a wall that would make Donald Trump proud. Keeps me in, keeps everyone else out. To me, it feels like there's just too much risk involved. I think that's a sentiment a lot of people express after a painful breakup.
Okay, is there risk involved? Yes, but like any venture in life that's worthwhile, it's always going to come with some risk. Now, if you want to manage that risk, it's about the things you do before you venture out. Do you know what you're looking for? Realistically, I don't want to talk fantasy here. Do you know what you're looking for? Number 2, do you have a realistic assessment of what you have to offer? Most people are looking for the most amazing candidate. Part of what I do in coaching is I say, how can you become the most amazing candidate? It starts with you.
Yeah.
So if you're second guessing yourself, that's telling me that you don't know why that breakup happened. Because if you knew exactly why that breakup happened, where you went wrong and where you went right, then you would know what to do next. So I would say take some time to do an assessment. You can do it through coaching. If it's something more serious, you go to therapy, like with Dr. Laurie. But that's where it is. It's basically what I'm hearing is, I don't know why it happened. That's why you're second guessing yourself.
I do agree with you, Frank, when you say that's what you're second guessing. But for the texter, I think, or is it the
Texter.
caller, it's been 2 years. It's time to get out there. And even if it's during your time dating or meeting other people that you can probably see or look at the patterns that you had in the past, by dating someone gives you the opportunity to fix those patterns and be aware and give you a chance. You are, you are important to yourself, and it is important that you do know yourself and give you the chance of meeting someone for you.
And love is a beautiful thing. Like, it does come with risks. That expression is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved, because it's such a powerful emotion. And it's not just an emotion, but it's a connection. It's something that is it's powerful. It's not like, I don't know, it's not like all you need is love. It's not just about the love. But there's something about it that makes life sometimes, it just makes it a tad smoother to go through. And just having that partnership can be very special. Fine if you decide you want to stay single and it's not something you want to venture at, but there's always a risk, because we don't know what's going to happen. You can love somebody, that person can die too. It's not just a breakup or choosing wrong or what have you. There's always a risk involved when you give of yourself and when you love someone and when you attach to somebody. There's always the risk of getting hurt, but that's just part of life. That's part of life. And I hope you get help to cope with that. So to get you to understand that you have what to offer and that you can get that love, and that will make you strong. 514-800-71010. This is Dating Dilemmas here on Passion.
She can help improve your love life in a few different ways. Passion with Dr. Laurie.
Tonight on the program, we're focusing on dating issues once a month. Which Wednesday? The last Wednesday of every month. We focus on dating problems, dating issues, dating dilemmas with my guests in studio, Frank Kermit of FrankTalks.com and Fritz-Gerald of EliteSpeedDating.com. Fritz, I don't think that the text who wrote in says didn't get a clear answer about the person of color question. Same question for seniors over 65 category, yes or no? I think the answer was yes, but you can't just, you have to wait till you have enough of a pool of people to organize these events, obviously.
Yes. Obvious. Yeah,
that's how
I
it
have
works.
to have. This is driven by the demand. The more people want to have these types of events, the more than glad to make them happen.
Right. So I think the best option is for people to sign up. Yes. Once they sign up and you let them know when events are happening. When they sign up, do people request kind of the categories that they want?
When they sign up, they usually sign up for an event that's already there. But I encourage people to send or call and ask, when are you doing this next event? Do you have something for me? And through that, like, we always keep tally. We tell them to sign up on the site. There is also a list so that once we reach a certain amount of numbers, a certain an amount of people, we make the event happen.
So but can people put in the criteria they're looking for? Like, I only want to be with 65 plus. I only want to be in in a cultural group. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's it. It's all driven by the demand. So there you go. All right. This texter writes, unrequited love that Frank describes was by far the most painful experience of my life. Years later, it still haunts me.
Okay, part of the reason that something like that would haunt you is that reality can never defeat fantasy. In the sense that the person you were in love with, since it was unrequited love, you never actually dated. What you are mourning is the loss of a fantasy. I actually wrote an article about this on my website. If you go to FrankTalks.com, the blog, type in mourning fantasy. There's a whole article on this. Well, here's what we do as human beings. We build up these fantasies in our head. Our subconscious does not know the difference between reality and fantasy. Our conscious minds do. So the reason that we would mourn a fantasy just as much as if it were real is because to our subconscious minds on that level, it's as real as if it really happened.
Right.
So consciously we know, well, we never actually dated the person. So we logically know we shouldn't be this attached to it.
Right.
But subconsciously it's all real. And that's why it hurts. And what you have to remember is that what you are in love with was not really that person. You're in love with the image of that person you've had in your mind all these years.
Right.
That's what we have to deconstruct.
The whole idea of love, or the idea of what could have been when it could have been nothing.
Exactly.
If you really were with the person.
You could have dated the person and broke up after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Right. Let's see. I agree with breakups occurring more frequently around this time of year. For myself, I just couldn't bear sharing the holidays with someone I was no longer into, despite my procrastinating the breakup, which in one case had reached its plateau on New Year's Day when I had to end it. And though we're still friends today, I never hear the end of it. My breakup remedy is to keep very busy, especially in the areas that contribute to your health, appearance, and self-esteem simultaneously, like exercise and working out. Yes, I agree with that. I think it is important. Keeping busy, doing things that are healthy, getting your energy out there, taking care of your physical self, eating well, because sometimes your appetite, it's like the divorce diet they call it. You kind of lose weight just without even wanting to. You just lose your appetite for all of that. And those are signs also of loss, sadness, depression, mourning. I mean, these are normal things too.
Let's look at this as an act of escapism. Because even if you're doing the right thing, and in this case, getting healthy is the right thing, but are you doing it because you're not dealing with the issues of why you were in a relationship you weren't happy with?
Well, but what if you weren't the one? Let's say it broke up, or the relationship broke up. You still, I think, on whether you were the dumpy or the dumper, although more the dumpy, I think. You ruminate, you obsess over things, you spend so much time in your room.
But here's what I'm hearing in that text. The person is saying, I'm keeping myself busy. Keeping busy is good, but if you're keeping busy as a means to avoid dealing with answering yourself, with facing your actual reasons as to why you would have stayed so long to the point of you couldn't take it anymore. Right. That's the red flag for me. Right. You got to answer these questions.
Say they're keeping busy because they never hear the end of it with the other person?
No, they never hear the end of it because he broke up with the other person on New Year's Day. And I think the other person who stayed friends with him was like, how could you dare break up with me on New Year's Day?
Well, you know what? To a point, the person has a point because they're saying, look, if you really felt this way, why did you go through the holidays with me? Why did you break up on New Year's Day instead of breaking up with me before the holidays?
But that's like Valentine's Day. Why'd you stay with me on Valentine's Day? Why'd you break up with me 2 days after Valentine's Day? Why not before that and make me believe all this stuff, right? Because a lot of people think, and I hear this from a lot of people, is that when that breakup happens, that they feel the relationship was a lie. It's like, what do you mean? Last 2 weeks ago, you told me you loved me, and now you broke up with me. Were you lying throughout the relationship?
Yeah. Well, are you so afraid of conflict that you're willing to tolerate unhappiness, because that's
Yeah.
when that becomes an issue of trust.
That's true.
Okay, and that's the issue you got to deal with. Great that you're busy, great that you're taking care of yourself, but at the same time, you got to sit down with yourself and say, okay, why did I allow myself to make certain choices that got me in this situation to begin with?
Right.
Exactly.
Texter wants to know, and I don't know if anybody can answer this on this panel, but is there an age when pheromones stop attracting the opposite sex? I'll just say what I think about pheromones. It's not pheromones that are going to be the deal breakers here in terms of attraction. Pheromones are mostly in the animal kingdom, really, that attract for mating and what have you. So there's some studies done on this, but there's not enough. I've not seen anything convincing enough to say this is what leads people to come together.
If pheromones are playing a role as to why someone is approaching you and chasing you, and that no longer exists, okay, that could be a reason. I don't know enough about it in terms of science, but here's what I do know. If you're looking for a reason why your love life isn't going as well as it used to, look at the things that you had going on when people were interested in dating you that you don't have going on now. And it could be a simple thing like a lack of positive attitude.
I agree with you, Frank. I think that you will stop attracting when you don't attract it. So you should you should feel attractive. You should feel important. And if you feel good, you will attract. So keep yourself out there. Just be ready to meet, and you will in turn you will be attracted to someone, and someone will be attracted to you.
You know, I heard that there was a concept of having it was called love readiness. You know, we can be in a state of love readiness, and I think part of that is once you know what you have to offer, once you love yourself in terms of having the best outcome, it really is about that.
It's an attractive quality.
It's what you're attracting also. You will attract what you are in many ways. I mean, if people really thought about that, and looked at who they attract, because often people think it's bad luck, or, I have terrible luck in dating. It's not about luck.
No, you're just making bad choices.
They're about choices that we make. So it really, if you're making bad choices, or you are having crappy, or you think you're having crappy luck in love, take a look. Just take a look at yourself and take a look at, what your contribution to all of this is, and the fact that you're the one making these choices. So,
I think this is one of the only dating dilemmas where we've all agreed. We haven't disagreed yet.
That's right. Fritz, thank you very much for being with us while you're away, and we'll catch up with you again next month. Thank you, Frank, for being here again.
Thank you.
You can get in touch with EliteSpeedDating.com or with Frank Kermit at FrankTalks.com. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to our technical crew in Montreal and in Toronto. If you need to get in touch with me, you can do that through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dr. Laurie Betito. My last name spelled Betito. You can also go through my website, drlaurie.com, drlaurie.com. We'll be in touch again tomorrow night. Right now, you've got the comedy show with your host, Joey Elias. Have a great rest of the evening, and remember to fill your life with passion.
If you need help with your relationships, my buddy Frank, he's got some tips. Just go to FrankTalks.com. His advice is better than your mom's. He knows what you're going through, 'cause Frank has been there too. So log on to FrankTalks.com. FrankTalks.com.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at FrankTalks.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating and relationships? Visit FrankTalks.